Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about my next build in Last Epoch, and surprise surprise, it is a totem character. Something that a lot of people would never have expected me to play, which is either minion builds or totem builds or something like that, because this is, in terms of Path of Exile, not really my kind of style. But in Last Epoch, this feels a lot better than I actually expected. So we are a Shaman. This is a Thorn Totem Shaman build that I'm started to level up yesterday. We're currently level 73. Currently pushing towards the Empowered Monolith. And I want to give you guys like a little rundown of this build, how it plays like, how it feels like, and so on, the further plans, the upgrade path, and so on and so forth. So pretty much, this is an actual one-button build, and this is probably from the builds that I've played so far. It's not like a lot of builds that I've played, but from the builds that I've played, this is like the least maintains. Like it's one button press and everything dies. This is pretty much the current state. So what are we doing? We're playing in Spriggan form. And what this does is basically there is a point here in the Spriggan tree here that your healing totems directly cast this tree, now also shoots thorns, and the Thorn Totem skill tree applies basically to the healing totems. So even though I have a bunch of skills here with like Thorn Totem, we have the Storm Totem, not the Thorn Totem, the Storm Totem, Eteros Blessing, which is like a heal, and we have the Summon Spriggan, basically a minion that yeah, pretty much buffs us quite a bit with a lot of like defensive layers, critical strike avoidance and stuff like that. So pretty nice to have. But in the end of the day, we are playing this build in Spriggan form, which is kind of like, I call it the Groot, because this is kind of what it looks like with even like a wood mustache. It's actually pretty fun, but the character itself has a lot of movement speed and will get a lot faster once we start gearing, once we start get some I think like core uniques going, because at the moment we are skilling into Storm Totem, which also has like a 40% movement speed increase once the Storm Totem, I think, hits a shocked enemy. So we're gonna spawn that passively later on, and this character is gonna be insanely fast. But not only that, if we take a look at the what do you say, the skills that the Groot has available, right? The Spriggan has available. We have the Summon Vines, which is basically some yeah, little vines here that are just attacking, but they're kind of like useless. I use them for another reason. Then we have Thorn Shield. Then we have our Healing Totem, and we do have our Spirit Thorns, which is like your attack ability, but I never use that. It does like almost no damage. You probably get later on apply like Shred or something basically on the target to have some extra damage. But overall, you have your Summon Vines, your Thorn Shield, and your Healing Totem. As I said before, the Healing Totem uses the tree of the Thorn Totem, and now is actually not only like a Healing Totem, it also combined with the Thorn Totem, and we can get a lot of totems. Like currently I'm having 9 totems around, and they have increased range based on the Thorn Totem tree, increased attack speed and multi and stuff like that, and pierce, and yeah, it just like very nice to play when you're gonna see in the Echo that we run in a second. Next off, we have here the Thorn Shield, and here we have a note basically, if I find it, I think it was here on the Eteros Blessing here, this one here. Whenever you directly cast Thorn Shield, you also cast Eteros Blessing on the same target, and in the Spriggan tree, we here have that Thorn Shield can only cast, or can now only target you and can no longer attach to your allies, which means, because I had the problem with the Thorn Shield that when there is like a bunch of minions around and thorns and whatnot, if you try to then like get your Thorn Shield onto yourself for additional defense layers, you usually always cast it on the totem and stuff like that, but this node prevents it. So I think it's like really nice. It's like your safety button. When you get like too much damage or something, or some crazy AoE going on, you just pop a couple Thorn Shields because they stack, and it buffs your resistance, your armor, like something like that. I'm like 4,000 armor with this thing already, which is like, I think like twice as much as my Rune Master, which is absolutely ridiculous. So basically, Thorn Shield is applying the Eteros Blessing, like a heal, and you can actually make it like a hot, like a healing over time. We have our buff Spriggan here, or at least like the summon Spriggan that buffs us. We have our Lightning Totem that will get summoned later on once we have like the idols and the relic for it that has a chance to summon this one. We have a Thorn Totem that is used as the Spriggan form in the healing totem, so what's left is the summon vines. And the only downside here is, while you have a lot of movement speed, there is no teleport ability, right? You have, like I said, your vines, your thorn shield, and your healing totems, right? But there is a unique called the Silver Front, which says when you directly cast summon vines, you are teleported to the targeted location, but now the summon vines have a cooldown. So basically, you have now a teleport while having this ring equipped. I don't know how this plays out in the later stages, because obviously running your first monolith is something different than like running 300 corruption empowered or something like that, because the ring itself doesn't really offer too much. It's like attack and cast speed for your summon vines and so on, but the main damage comes from your totems and not really from your vines. But I'm also using the Tears of the Forest, which also gives me rage back when I summon a vine and stuff like that, so it actually is a nice synergy, and I'm barely ever running out of rage because we have certain abilities that gives us rage back when totems die and stuff like that. Good, that is like the first little 2 cents about the build. We're currently, as I said, running through the non-empowered echoes, just as a first glance, so you see how the build looks like. So in the start of the map, I usually just summon my Vice once because of the amulet to gain like a rage back. Then I get my Thorn Shield up, and yeah, basically all I'm doing here is just summon my healing totems. And there is a note in the Spriggan tree where you summon 3 totems instantly instead of like 1 totem. So if you have 9 totems, you don't have to like spam them around. Basically just 3 fast clicks, and the summon totem is actually quite fast. You can also use cast speed to make it even faster, but I personally don't really see the need of it because it already summons them quite fast. And all you do here is you just, yeah, create your healing totems, and they will do everything for you. With the increased range, with the pierce, with everything. Because there was something I was a bit curious of, especially in the early stages. I was like, dude, what if there is like a 20-30 monster pack, and I have like a, you know, like 5 totems or something? How does this play out, right? Because it's probably gonna take forever. But thanks to the pierce, thanks to the additional totems that you can skill in both the Thorn Totem tree and the Spriggan tree, you get like 9 totems, and I think you can get like even more than that with certain uniques. But that was the first echo. It's like, this is like the most laziest build I think that I've seen so far. You know, I'm doing like a lot of research when I'm thinking about I want to play a new build, you know, like what kind of build, like maybe a melee, maybe this, maybe that. So I looked at a lot of videos and clear speed and stuff like that, and honestly, there is a lot of builds that pretend to be a one-button build, but they're not. And this build literally is just spamming your healing totem. As I said, if you have the ring, you can use like teleport to move around faster. But as I said, like the build itself has already like so much movement speed that I barely ever use that. So I don't think that I want to use the ring in the end game, because the summon vines itself don't really do a lot of damage. Same with your spirit thorns. It hits like for 100 crit or something, right? While your totems crit like a couple thousand. And there is so many of them, and it has such a nice coverage, basically, right? So this would be one of the builds where you could just farm and watch Netflix or YouTube videos or documentaries like on the other screen while you just run around and, yeah, just don't even pay attention, right? And if there is loot dropping, like, I don't know how often I died on my Rune Master just because there was some solid item dropping, and I was checking out the mods on it. And in the end of the day, I just died while trying to check out the loot, right? And with this build, it cannot really happen, because you summon your totems, you have all the time to like check out the loot and what dropped, while your totems is basically killing off everything, right? And with the increased range, they are kind of like shooting an entire screen wide, which I think is like pretty nasty in my opinion. So that was already the second echo. So I guess we're gonna run the third one, just because it's just such a, yeah, lazy playstyle. But I almost unlocked the boss, so you can see like the bossing as well. But it's always like a bit weird to showcase builds that early on. As I said, level 73 in non-empowered monolith, no corruption. But on the other hand, my gear is also like kind of trash. I do have some LP items, but none of them are actually converted into legendaries yet. It's just like some it's not even rare items. You know, the Terra's path is basically generating vines as well while I'm just walking. My summon Spriggan is also casting vines. So it is, everything is automated. Even if I get hit, I have a chance of casting my Thorn Shield, right? So that's like the cool thing. Yeah, we do have a lot of abilities and a lot of skill trees and stuff like that, but everything is automated. Whether summoning your Storm Totems later on once I have the relic, or when you get hit, you summon your Thorn Totems, and even when you're like using your Thorn Totem, this is actually pretty cool as well. If you use your Thorn Totem, or at least your Thorn Shield, it heals you. But if you are already full life, like here, I'm summoning extra additional healing totems because I was already full life. You know, it's like there's a note somewhere where it says like, yo, if you're healing but the target is full life, you summon a healing totem instead that also heals and deals damage and stuff like that. So it's actually more than just the totems that I have available to me. I can also like summon a couple with the Thorn Shield as well. So overall, like, that was probably one of the easiest campaign run-throughs. It's a bit weird in the start because you don't really have a lot of notes, right? The first things that you usually take is like on the bottom side, the Titan's Bane and stuff like that, where you can only, where they shoot single projectiles instead of like doing this like AoE thing, right? But they attack a lot faster and they also then pierce. And once, I think was like level 30 or 40, this is when the build kind of skyrocketed, right? So like from like Act 5 to 10, you know, all you do is just run and yeah, and you just press your healing totems. In the start, as I said, if you don't have the Spriggan form, if you don't have the 3 totems at once note, if you don't have all these notes, it's a bit clunky, but it's still not bad. And I think this is probably the fastest that I've leveled through the campaign. And it was like, all the bosses and stuff like that, they just melt, you know? And you don't even have to do anything. You put down your totems and you just chill a bit and then you loot. That's pretty much what the build is about. So we just, yeah, I need to do like all the quests here. This is like, man, I kind of hate that. But believe me when I say at the moment, you know, there's a boss and like, I put down my totems and it just melts away and you have all the time to just dodge abilities if needed, because the good thing about the totems is they have like this auto-target AI. Like obviously it's a stationary minion that targets an enemy, so if you're dodging or anything, you will have 100% damage uptime, even if there is like, I don't know, in the shade and stuff like that, when they do like the circular abilities, you know, you just run out, summon your totems, and you're chilling here while your totem's still attacking, right? And if I played like my melee werebear and stuff like that, I move out, all my damage is gone, so I need to wait until the ability is gone, and then I can move in and start attacking again. So perfect AI in that case. They're like always shooting on enemies even if they're not even in range. This is something I encountered. So if I put my totems over here, I think they have a range of like shooting, yeah, somewhere at the end of the screen. But if there's monsters even behind that, they are still shooting just to protect the projectiles don't fly as fast, but they're still targeting that enemy, right? Another good thing is you can place them in front of you. So if I cleared everything in the back and I'm just moving this direction, this is currently how I play. I just put them always in front of me, so they're gonna start attacking monsters that I don't even see yet, right? And on all these like occasions where you have like an echo reward where you have to like wait for minions to spawn that you have to kill, you know, you're chilling here, you just put your totems in a direction where monsters are spawning, and then you just wait and loot, and that's pretty much it. So it is actually a lot better than I actually thought it's gonna be. The LE planner from the current gear on level, 73 is in the description below if you want to check out. Let's go over the gear real quick. Just like a random exalted Thorn Totem here just for the additional skill points. The things how you scale the damage, this is actually quite interesting. So it's always about the tags, right? We have a minion tag, totem tag, attunement, and with this the Thorn Totem here, physical and spell. So these totems are actually casters, okay? They don't scale with melee attack speed, they're scaling with totem cast speed. And the way you scale it, minion damage is fine, totem damage is fine, you know, everything that is involved around minions or totems, so both work, you know, like 100% increased minion damage is the same as 100% totem damage, which gives you like a little bit of a wider variety of stats that you can pick off, right? But other than that, it's just like, you know, minion crit multi, what else would there be? Just flat minion damage, and at some point, probably when you push further corruption, it's just what I assume, we also have to like opt in some minion health and get the totems like more tanky because that totems cannot really deal damage, right? And I'm using the Titan Heart, which is like a less damage taken while wielding a two-handed melee weapon, which a staff is. This is still like from, I don't know, this is like somewhat super early. It doesn't do anything but a little bit of like minion spell damage, 28, and some cast speed, right? So this is actually trash-based, trash everything. Then I'm using the Legacy of the Quiet Forest just because a lot of Void and Poison Resistance while transformed. And we gain Rage while in Spriggan form. So this is like, and a lot of armor on top. Like, this is like such a nice belt for this build. The ring we already covered with the teleport once you use your Summon Vine ability, which is nice to have. I don't know how crucial it will be in the endgame. We're going to find out about that. We have the Eteros Path, and it also says every second if you're moving, you have a 24% chance to cast Summon Vine. So when I'm just walking around, you're going to see those three. Were a thing from like me walking around, but my Spriggan also has something that says that your Spriggan can now use Summon Vine melee minions that poison enemies up to maximum of 6, right? So I can generate vines while teleporting, my minion will summon vines, my walking around will summon vines, right? And what does it do? We basically have a shit ton of rage generation with the Tears of the Forest. Super nice to have. I don't know about the rage sustain overall later on, but I think there is another emerald, I think this one over here, that has 54% minion critical strike multiplier, which is a lot of extra damage, but just from the quality of life point of view, the Tears of the Forest is quite nice. Other than that, anything minion damage, attunement, health, and yeah, whatever you need, right? And another cool thing why this is so easy to gear is if you check my resistance, you're like, bro, what the fuck are you doing, right? But if we summon totems, we're getting a shit ton of resistance, like 50 all res just by summoning totems, and then when we use our Thorn Shield, we get even more. So I'm just getting 125 basically resistance, or all resistance and poison resistance just while having totems up and using a Thorn Shield, right? I'm the way that I don't want to rely on the Thorn Shield to be capped, but I don't mind having totems to res cap me. Because you're gonna have them out 24/7. You're like spamming them all the time. And this is actually a weird bug over here. My character just turned invisible. I don't know. This is like since the release, you know. So when I play any druid form, werebear or whatever, Swarmblade, every time I go out of form, I cannot see my character anymore, which is kind of funny. But as I go back into Spriggan form, we're back in like having the character model, right? So you're playing in Spriggan form 100% of the time. We have so much rage generation, and also going over here, you regain mana when a Thorn Totem dies, and since mana is rage in our Spriggan form, every time we summon totems, 3 of them disappear. That always gives me a chunk back of rage, which is super nice as well to just sustain that. So usually Echo starts, I'm just using with some summon vines because of the passive rage generation. As you see, my rage is just going up, so I can just spam away all the shit and I'll never run out of rage, which is super nice to play. Good. Anything else? Not really. I think like blessings or idols are, you know, critical strike chance, everything. I just opted in my loot filter, so I need to like get farming, and I want to see yeah, what we can find here, right? So I know that, for example, base critical strike chance is huge. There's also like one that gives you like a 33% chance to gain haste for 3 seconds when you summon a totem. There are things when you hit that you also have a chance to summon Thorn Totems. And I think the Relic, that is the first thing that I'm going to farm once I get into empowered maps, has a chance to summon a Thorn Totem, like a Storm Totem. On top of that, and this will enhance the clear, it will enhance the speed and everything, and I think this is gonna be a lot of fun pushing corruption and just playing, because from my current point of view, from like leveling the character into the early echoes and stuff, this is like the laziest build that you can play, and that's why I fucking love it. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.